Security Council. I now give the floor to the representative of the Russian Federation.
Mr. Minister, we are pleased to welcome you as the President of the United Nations Security Council. We wish to thank the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, as well as the Chair of the Peacebuilding Commission, the Minister for Foreign Affairs of Colombia, Mr. Carlos Trujillo, for the reports. We are grateful to the representative of the World Bank, Mr. Busquet, and of the African Development Bank, Mr. Balde, for their detailed statements, which serve as a good foundation for this discussion. The matter under discussion today, to ensure continuity in international assistance during the drawdown or closure of UN peacekeeping missions, is no doubt important to prevent relapse of conflict during transitional periods when long-term success of collective efforts is far from guaranteed. Indeed, maintaining and especially multiplying results is at times far more difficult than the initial attainment of said results. In order to achieve lasting peace in those countries where peacekeeping operations are drawing down, it is important that the post-conflict recovery stage be duly prepared. In some instances, it is wise to launch peace-building efforts prior to the closure of a peacekeeping presence. Otherwise, there is a risk that dwindling international focus on a specific situation can be interpreted by some players as a green light to resume their malicious activity. In and of itself, the issue of a missions withdrawal and the handover of missions residual functions to other United Nations bodies need to be borne in mind both initially and during all stages of a PKO's lifespan. At the same time, it is necessary to also have a full picture as to the shape of a political settlement that is being fostered by the mission. This is because building and sustaining peace is impossible without national reconciliation. For this reason, when considering the mandates of missions, including existing peace-building objectives, there is a need to fully account for the views of the host state. Where necessary, the United Nations Security Council can instruct a mission to assist the host state in tackling peace-building objectives, such as disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration, as well as security sector reform. At the same time, when delivering assistance to states for peace building and sustaining peace within the United Nations, it is necessary both to have due coordination of efforts and an appropriate division of labor which does not create a conflict of authority. The inclusion within mandates of tasks of a generic nature, such as human rights monitoring, sexual and gender issues, environmental conservation, assistance for development, and others, indeed may merely lead to the squandering of valuable resources. To tackle these objectives, there are specialized United Nations bodies and international mechanisms already in place. When addressing the theoretical nexus between human rights, development, peace, and security, there is a need to acknowledge the fact that development in and of itself cannot guarantee peace, and peaceful conditions do not necessarily guarantee development. For this reason, it is important not only to account for the nexus, but also to fully grasp the differences in these processes, as well as which specific UN body or structure bears responsibility for the promotion of each of these issues. Mr. President, in your concept note for today's meeting, you rightly stress the leading role of states themselves during transitions, in line with the principle of national ownership. Indeed, it is the host state which bears the main responsibility for the design and implementation of peace-building strategies and programs, whilst fully taking account of societal demands. In this connection, it is important that enhanced cooperation between the United Nations, regional and sub-regional organizations, as well as international financial institutions in peace building, for this to be accompanied by their improved relations with host states. Cooperation with local population groups and non-government organizations at the same time can help to contribute to this process under the coordinating role of the authorities. Within the United Nations, an important role in the delivery of peacebuilding assistance to states is borne by the Peacebuilding Commission. The PBC is both an intergovernment consultative body and a platform that brings together a wide array of stakeholders. The PBC has a potential to boost the quality of recommendations to the Security Council that may be provided pursuant to the request of the Security Council regarding country-specific issues that are on the agendas of both bodies. We believe that the value of the Commission lies in the fact that it can convey the host country's peace-building priorities to the Security Council. This is particularly relevant during the final stage of peacekeeping operations efforts and can help to contribute meaningfully to the relevant Secretary General reports. It is indeed the added value and the relevance of the PBC's recommendations that carries decisive significance for them to be potentially taken into account in the proceedings of the Security Council, General Assembly, and ECOSOC. It is also important to bear in mind that the members of the Security Council are invariably represented in and actively engaged in discussions of the PBC, its organizational committee, and country configurations. To improve the quality of engagement between the Council and the Commission, it is necessary to effectively enhance the already existing broad capacities set out in Resolutions 1645 and 2282. They are indeed sufficient in our view. Thank you for your attention.
Agradezco.
I thank the representative of the Russian Federation for his statement.